Hey guys, well today we have another project. Today it is a Kitchenaid blender that, or actually I should say food processor, that is no longer functioning. It has these pull switches here and they do not function. It doesn't turn it on at all. This was not my unit, this is a friend of mine's unit and they thought maybe I could get it working. I don't know if I can. We're going to give it a go. We're going to give it a go together and see what happens. So. The one thing I did notice, the first thing you think of when you see something like this that's not working, you think, well, maybe it's burnt out, right? And if it's got burnt out windings, often it'll give off a bit of an odor, right? So there's these passages at the bottom here for cooling, and it doesn't smell burnt at all. So I don't think it's burnt windings. The other thing that comes to mind on this unit when I looked at it is it's actually got a micro switch right here for safety. I don't know if you can really see that. Here, let me see if I can get a little closer. Do you see that little indentation? There's a micro switch in there. So I was kind of wondering if maybe that's the problem. And the reason that they have that is to make sure that you have this on here before it'll actually turn on and work. So clearly, if that micro switch isn't functioning, that's going to be our problem. So I think maybe that is the first thing for us to check. Assuming that the micro switch is good, we're going to need to then dig into this, or we're going to have to dig into it anyways, even if it's a micro switch, but I want to eliminate that bit first. The next thing, of course, would then be to look at fuses and also see what else it looks like inside the unit. So just in case you have one like this is a Kitchenaid. And if I got a model number on here, yeah, it's model number E105402, and it looks like this. Okay, so that's what we're working on today, and yeah, let's get after it. Okay, so to test that micro switch, what we're going to do is we are going to take the bottom off here and get into it, find the micro switch, and then we're going to put a tester on it to test to make sure that that micro switch is operating. So to make it a little bit easier for you guys to see what I'm doing, I am going to adjust the camera so you can see down, not looking at me. You don't need to see me, you want to see what's going on here. So I'm just going to adjust that. Okay guys, let's take this thing apart. I'm going to do, don't worry, I'm not going to make you watch me take a bunch of screws out, but I'm going to do one, and then I'll fast forward to the rest of them. So these feet come off, and when they come off, they've got a washer in there and a screw. Don't lose those. Either use a magnetic tray, or in this case, I've got this special mat where I can just put stuff, so I'm going to do that. So yeah, okay, I'm going to fast forward to the rest of this, so this should go for you really, really quick. Okay, so now we have the screws out. Now let's go and take the unit apart. It should, fingers crossed, it should just pull apart here. So let's see. Let's see what happens. Oh, she's a little tight. A little tight. Oh, there she goes. Oh, it's just the top. Oh, actually, I thought the whole thing would pull out. Look at that. It's interesting. Okay, there we go. Now, that's what it looks like in there. So now let's find on the outside, let's find that micro switch I showed you before, and it is, see that, it's right there. So let's put our finger there and turn her back over. Yeah, okay, and now we know that our micro switch is right here. Okay, so it's right in there. Can you guys see that? Let me just adjust the camera a little bit better. Okay, so now you're a bit more in on the action. So again, the micro switch here. And we can see, in fact, we can see a couple of wires there. It's a good indication. Plus, it's directly above our micro switch. When you see the micro switch is right there. Let me just get a little bit more light on that for us, so you can see in there. Yeah, so there's that micro switch right there. So, yeah, so how best to get at that? There's, probably can't see this, but there's insulation right down to the terminals on this thing. And it looks like those wires are going in there. They're not plugged in. So, but what we can do is this red wire we can actually, let's see here. This red wire, we can actually see that it can come off. So let's take that off. Okay. There's the red wire. So that's one side of the micro switch. Now we just need to go and test to down on this brown terminal, this brown wire here, to test that one. So let's go and grab the meter and let's do that. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and test out that micro switch. As mentioned, we've got one of the leads off, and we're going to use the fluke meter right here to actually do the test. I've got it set at the moment on the little, not, you could set it to ohms for continuity. We just get a readout then, but it's going to be a little hard for me to look at the screen at the same time, so I'm actually just going to use this setting here, which will just give me a nice tone. So when we complete the circuit, we get a tone. When we disconnect it, we've got nothing. So we're going to want to see that switch have that exact same behavior when we do the test. It's a little bit awkward in here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a jumper lead on one of my terminals. Doesn't matter which one here for this, and just use the jumper lead to actually hold this one for me, the one we have disconnected, so I don't have to manually hang on to that lead. Now I can just hold on to this one. I've cut a small little piece of Q-tip to actuate that micro switch at the bottom. So I've got that there, and that way I can just rock it back and forth like this to do the test. So let's just see what we get. So there we go, and I'll lift it up, off, on, off. So you see me rocking it? So that's all I'm doing is just rocking it onto that micro switch. Alright, so we've eliminated that as the problem. It is not the problem. The problem is somewhere else. We've also, I guess there's lots of ways of doing things. I am not actually an electronics guy, so I'm just a tinkering guy. I just, as my channel states, tinkering, motoring, and music, I just tinker. But I try to tackle things logically, at least logically in my own mind. So the next thing I'm going to look for is to see if this thing's got a fuse somewhere. The one thing I happen to know about this unit, I believe, is that they were shredding hard cheese at the time, or shredding a whole bunch of cheese. And so I can imagine that this unit was under a pretty significant load. I've not tested the windings, but I can smell that they're not burnt, well, for whatever that means. The other thing, of course, I'm not sure if this motor has brushes or doesn't have brushes, but of course it could be brushes, although that's probably a bit unlikely as well, given, I'm looking at the condition of the machine. It doesn't look terribly old or heavily used. So let's see if we can dig into this more and find that fuse. So I can see, if I tip this back, you'll be able to see too. You'll see that there's a circuit board right in here. Right here, okay? So, I'm guessing the fuse is, in this plastic box somewhere. It's pure guess, but that's what we're gonna do next. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take that box out of there, and I see there's a screw down here. Screw, I don't think I can lift it. Oh, maybe I can. This is the value of a magnetic screwdriver. There we go, done. Just going to put that safely with the rest of my bits and bobs here on my worksheet. And yeah, and then let's see if we can pull this out of here. Oh yeah, okay, cool. Let's get this out. Okay. Yeah, let's get this out of here. So what all we got? Well, okay, this is the underside of the board. What we need to do is we need to see the other side of the board where the components are. This is the printed circuit board side. Oh, there's a couple of components on this side. I don't think any of those are fuses. At least I don't think so. What do you guys think? I don't think they are. Let's take this off and let's have a closer look. So I'll probably fast forward to this. You don't need to watch me undo all these little screws. Okay, let's see what lies behind door number 1. I'm just looking here to see what I can see. This here looks like it might be a fuse. It's got some printing on it, so I'm going to grab my trusty magnifying glass. Maybe I'll be able to move. If I see something to show you, I will try to bring the camera over and show you what I'm seeing, but I want to have a little look here as to what that says. Yeah, it says T4A 250 volts. So I would imagine that's standing for 4 amps 250 volts. So sure enough, that's going to be a fuse. So the next step for us is to check that fuse. But before I do that, let me show you through the lens here what I'm seeing. 2 secs. Okay guys, so we're zoomed in on that component and you can see it says T4A 250 volts. So that's a really good indication that that's a fuse. In fact, that is a fuse. So the next bit here is that we're actually going to test to see if that fuse is still good or not. So let's give that a shot. Okay guys, so again, there is our suspect fuse right there. Okay, so let's grab a little pointer here. So that is it right there. That's what we're going to test. So now there's no way to test it from this side of the board. Okay, so these, well, all these components really typically will have, will have terminals that will push through the board and then are soldered on this side. Forgive me if that's really obvious to a lot of you, but for some folks they may not know, so that's why I'm saying it. So that this this fuse here, if I put my finger there and turn it over, okay, carefully, I can see, let me grab my meter here, just as a pointer, I can see that those 2 terminals there are for that fuse, okay? And I can know that because if I turn it over, it's the same bit here. So that's how I know that's for that fuse. Now we should get continuity when we actually test between those 2 points. And if you recall, I'll get a bit of a mess going on here. Hang on, let me see if I can move stuff around. Well, you're not going to be able to see my fleet meter. It's off screen, but I don't think it matters. We got it set, if you recall, to give us a beep. So that's what we're going to do. When we test this, we need to hear a beep here, okay, or it's not working. And look at that. Nothing. But if I touch these together, sure enough, there's a beep there when I touch these together. But if I touch the terminals, nothing. So we know that fuse is bad. So what's the next step? The next step is we need to pick up a fuse. So I am going to make note of what that fuse is. I'm going to order it, and then we're going to install it. That may take a day or 2, but for you, that's going to happen right about now. Okay guys, we're back. In the mail today came the fuses we need. Well, I say fuses, we only need 1, but I bought a couple just because they were super cheap. They're, I believe, 60 cents a piece or something like that. So anyways, I just picked up 5 of them, and I'll throw the other ones into my bin. The other reason I do that is because, again, I'm not really an electronics guy. I think it's highly unlikely I'm going to blow one of these things up, but if I do, I mean, it could be there's something wrong with this board, right? There could be something else that blew the fuse. Could be when we put the fuse in, it just blows again. So if that happens, we'll have to do more figuring out, but at least now we got more fuses to do the figuring out. Does that make any sense? Hopefully it does. But anyways, that's why I bought a few extras, just because they were super cheap. And it's always good to have a few spares, because you just never know. So anyways, what we're going to do now is we are going to take the other fuse out, and we are going to install it with the new one. So I just, when I picked these up off of DigiKey, I will include the part number. Again, these are they're a radial 4 amp 250 volt fuse. So, but I will put the part number from DigiKey in the description below if anybody really wants to know what that is. So let's, what I'm going to do now though, and I always do this, with fuses and stuff like this, just because I'm naturally paranoid, just getting the paper off of that one. I just want to test this one, the brand new one, before I ever do anything else. I just want to make sure that, it's a good fuse. You just never know, do you? So here, let me kind of do it I normally do it on the bench here, but let me just hold this up. So we'll just hold it like that, touch it, and oh, you know what? You know why we got nothing going? I had the, because it's been a little while, I had the meter turned off. Let's see if this makes a difference. Okay, so again, we're holding it with one terminal. Try her again. Alrighty, now we know that part is a good part. So it's just a little, you know, sometimes it's good to be paranoid. You never know. Yeah, let's. What we're going to do now is we're going to desolder. We're going to desolder this piece here, and I actually have a desoldering gun for that, which I'll show you how I use it. So that's going to be the next bit. Okay guys, I thought I would just show you my desoldering gun just before we use it here. This thing is fantastic. I picked this up off of, gee whiz, I can't remember, I've had it for a little while. I think I picked it up off of AliExpress. It was very reasonable. But it is just fantastic, and essentially what it does is it allows you to yeah, it allows you to desolder components. The tip on this thing is hollow. Doesn't really focus, does it? But trust me, it's hollow. And so you can just go right onto the component you want, and it will suck the solder up into this chamber here, enabling you to pretty easily remove components off of printed circuit boards. And this is, you know, even from somebody like me that's just trying to learn a little bit or tinker a little bit, I really can't, I just wouldn't have been able to tackle a tenth of the things I tackle without this little unit. It's just super cool. And it was really reasonable. I want to say it was like, I don't know, the equivalent of $100 or something. It might have been even less than that. Sorry, I can't remember that, but I'm sure you can look them up. This one here, I think there's a few different makers of them, but this one, what's it called? Anstey Desoldering Station. I think there's a few different makes of these things from China, of course, but the thing is well made and it works great. In fact, let me turn it on. I'm just going to turn it on here and show you how quick this thing heats up. It's unbelievable. So yeah, there we go. And you just see it going up. Now I've got it, you can set how hot you want it to go. Looks like I've currently got it set for 381 degrees Celsius, and you can see how quickly she climbs up. So I don't typically leave this thing on at all. It only takes, you know, a minute, maybe 2 minutes to go and get up to temperature, and she's good to go. So, you know what, while that is getting up to temperature, I'm going to put you back on the stand so you can see me do this work. Okay guys, so just a little bit of a refresher. This is our fuse here. Okay, can you see that right there? That's our fuse. Put my finger on that, turn it over, and those are the two terminals right here that we need to desolder. I wonder if I can get you guys in there a little bit tighter. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit better. So let me just grab a pointer here rather than get my fingers in the way. So these are the two terminals here, this one and this one. So those are the guys that we need to desolder, okay? And looking at my desoldering gun, she's fully up to temperature. So I have it set again to, you know, 380 odd degrees, but yeah. So all you do is just put it on there for a moment, give the pull, and that noise you hear is the vacuum pulling the melted solder up off of the board. I don't know if you heard that or not, but that worked super well. In fact, you know what? Our component literally fell on the ground as I'm doing this. It is, if you'll notice, it was right there. Right there. It's gone. Hang on, let me just pick it up off the floor. That's funny. That, I tell you, is how well that desoldering works. Look at that. There's our piece I just picked up off the floor. Yeah, there's the focus, kind of, sort of. But wow, that's why that tool is worth the money it's worth, even for a tinkerer and a non-professional like me. It's just so cool. Anyways, enough on how great the soldering iron is. Now what we want to do, that's our old one, right? That's our old one here. And this is our new one right here, okay? So that's our new one. I think I'm in my shadow or something there. There we go, that's our new one. So we're gonna put that into there now. So the way we do that is we just, just simply put it through the holes. It's really that simple. Hopefully you'll be able to see me do this without my fingers in the way, but apologies, I gotta do what I gotta do. So I just shove it through there like that, okay? So you see that? And then what I typically do, rightly or wrongly, is I will just, so it doesn't fall out, so I'll just bend them a little bit. You don't have to bend them much, just bend them a little bit. And you see now that's not going to fall out of there. Now we can solder it, okay? So let's, I'm just going to shut the desoldering of the gun off, and I'm going to turn on my my soldering iron, and then we'll give that a bit of solder. So let's do that. Okay guys, so we've got the desoldering iron turned off, and I thought, what the heck, I'm going to show you another cool thing that I picked up, and that's my soldering iron. Talk about amazing. I think I picked this up off of AliExpress as well, but this is just the most amazing soldering iron ever, made by, how do you pronounce that? KSGER. Your guess is as good as mine. Sgur? I don't know. But it's a T12 soldering station. Essentially that has to do with the type of bits they take. You can get all different, as you can see I got a bunch of bits there. Gosh, there's lots more that you can get, all different ones. I particularly like this little one for whatever reason. It's kind of a little wedge style, but in any event, what's really cool about this is for a guy like me that, you know, I'm not soldering all day, I just want to go and do some soldering. You won't believe how fast the thing heats up. Watch this. We'll turn her on and, okay, let's just see how quickly she gets to temperature. There it is, 340 degrees. And that's what I have it set at, just that quick. How long was that? 5 seconds? I don't know, unbelievable. So that's what we're gonna use, and we're gonna go and solder that part in now, so let's get after it. Okay guys, now that the soldering iron's heated up, boy that took a long time. I'm never gonna get that 5 seconds back. Anyways, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna solder this. So I've got the soldering iron here, and just as a reminder, we've got the little component here. I don't know if you can quite see that, but you see one, because I haven't cut them off yet. You can see the terminal still here. So we're going to solder them right close to the board, and less is more when it comes to soldering. You just want them in there, but you don't want to get a big puddle of solder everywhere. So a little bit of heat, a little bit of solder. There's one. Now we'll do the other one. And that's it. Done. Okay, I'm going to turn that soldering iron off now because I don't want that thing staying on. And yeah, so that's that for that. So now while that's cooling, it's probably cooled now. Yeah, it's all cooled and firmed up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our clippers here, and we are just going to snip those off close to the board. Okay, so one, get rid of that, and two, snip her off. Done. Two. And if we take a look at the job we did there, hopefully you can see that, and just keep in mind, I am no professional, don't know what the heck I'm doing, just doing the best I can, trying to learn. Okay, looks pretty good, doesn't it? Not too shabby. So let's grab our meter and do the same test that we did before. Now, I think it's pretty sure it's gonna work. There's no reason why it shouldn't, but again, we just touch our terminals together. We got our beep. And let's try this again. Yep, works perfectly, so that's great. So that's in there. Now, I guess the truth is in the pudding. Is this thing gonna work? Okay. I mean, it could be that fuse blew for a reason. There could be something else wrong somewhere in this machine that caused this thing to, you know, to not work. It also could be that it was just under really heavy use and strain, and it just blew as a, you know, what it's designed for, as a protection mechanism for the rest of the unit, meaning everything else is good, just the fuse blew. So it could be either way. We're going to find out. There's only one way to do that, and that's to put this thing back together. I'm just going to go do this, but I think I'm just going to you know, fast forward to the whole thing. It's pretty obvious how it goes together, I think. So you saw it come apart. So I'm going to fast forward through this. You'll see me do it, but really, really quick. Okay, we're gonna put this thing together again, guys. Again, I'm gonna just fast forward through this. So yeah, but just before I do, there is the component. That's the other side of the component that we just soldered on. So as you can see, it looks the same. So let's well, it's the same. One thing for certain too. Now, looks aren't so important with electrical components. Just so you know, what's important are the values, right? We know it's 4 amp. 250 volt slow blow. So that's what we got. That's what's in there. Happens to be the identical part as well. So it does look the same in this instance, but not always the case with electronics. So yeah, let me get after it here. Okay guys, moment of truth. Let's give her a go. So now normally, of course, we talk about the micro switch, right? To actually get this thing to work, of course, it's not going to work right now, right? Because, oh, and by the way, I do have it plugged in this time as well. But it's not going to work until we press this micro switch, because normally the, this bit, this thing, this would be on top of it. I guess we could do that actually. Oh, what the heck? Let's go. Let's do that. There we go. Okay, the micro switch. Don't need my Q-tip anymore if I do that. Okay, let's give her a go. Let's see what happens. Oh, look at that. Cool. I don't really know how to use this crazy contraption, but you know what? It's kind of looks like we're getting close and we fixed it. Okay guys, well look, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. I'm very happy to see we got this thing working again. Now we can grate some cheese, right? So I'll be giving this back to my friends, and hopefully it works now the way they expect it to work, so which I think it does. So yeah, that was a good learning experience for me. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, especially the subscription. I think we're about 350 odd subscribers right now. So yeah, if you could hit that subscribe button, it would really help out. And please do like the video as well. The other thing I should mention is that please leave a comment. I love the comments. Tell me what I'm doing right or wrong. As I mentioned, I'm trying to learn stuff. So if you see me doing something wrong, please do let me know. If you see me doing something right, you can let me know that too. But I read all the comments and I reply to every one of them. I reply to every comment. I really appreciate them. Okay guys, that's it for this one. Hopefully this helped you out a little bit. Again, in the description I will have that fuse part number if you have this exact same machine, and hopefully that helps you out a little bit. And yeah, that's it for this one. So have a good one everybody. Bye for now.